Good morning, it's Bob Mason from FX Empire and welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin and Ripple's XRP. We'll be looking at the MACDs, the moving averages and the day's support, resistance and pivot levels. It is Wednesday the 16th of December. Jumping straight into Bitcoin against the US dollar, looking at the hourly candlesticks, it's a bearish start to the morning. Going to need to see Bitcoin move back through the pivot at 19,379 to take a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 19,687. Going to see support from the broader market for Bitcoin to break back through to 19,500 levels, and yesterday's high was at 19,607. So barring an extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level to cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, got the second major resistance level sitting at 19,916 and resistance at 20,000 that will come into play. Failure to move through the pivot will bring the first major support level at 19,150 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Bitcoin should steer well clear of the second major support level sitting at 18,842. Looking at the MACD, we've got a bearish cross at the start of the day, supporting this early morning pullback. On the EMAs, the 50 has flattened on the 100 and 200, but nothing conclusive to suggest a bearish morning ahead. So Bitcoin's just moved back through the pivot. So we'd need to avoid a fallback through the pivot at 19,379 and break back through to 19,500 levels to bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels are in play. Moving across Ethereum against the US dollar, also bearish this morning. Going to need to see Ethereum move back through the pivot at 588.42 to take a run on the first major resistance level staying at 597.7. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Ethereum to break back through to 597 levels, however. So barring an extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and yesterday's high at 597.04 to cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, got the second major resistance level sitting at 606.31 and resistance at 610 that will come into play. Failure to move through the pivot will bring the first major support level sitting at 579.81 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, should steer clear of sub 570. Second major support level sitting at 570.53 should limit the downside. Looking at the MACD, also bearish cross this morning, supporting this pullback. On the EMA, we're also seeing the 50 narrow on the 100 and the 200, suggestive of further downside ahead. So failure to move through that pivot at 588.42 would bring support levels into play. Moving across to Litecoin against the US dollar, particularly bearish start to the morning here. Going to need to see Litecoin move back through the morning high 81.54 and through the pivot level at 82.24 to bring that first major resistance level at 84.11 into play. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Litecoin to break back through to 84 levels, however. So barring an extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 85 to cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, got the second major resistance level staying at 86.86 to limit any upside on the day. Failure to move through that pivot would bring the first major support level at 79.49 into play. Barring an extended sell-off through the day, should see Litecoin avoid sub 75s. Second major support level at 77.62 should limit the downside. Looking at these, after yesterday's late bearish cross, we've got a widening of the bearish histogram this morning, supporting this early morning pullback. Also seeing the 50 narrow on the 100 and the 200 and the 100 narrow on the 200, supporting further downside through the morning. So failure to move through the morning high 81.54 and back through that pivot level at 82.24 would bring support levels into play. Finally, looking at Ripple's XRP against the US dollar, particularly bearish start to the morning here. Here you need to see Ripple's XRP move back through the morning high 46.876 and through the pivot level at 0.4807 to bring the first major resistance level at 0.4953 into play. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Ripple's XRP to break out from 48 levels, however. So barring extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and resistance at 0.5 to cap any upside. In the event of a breakout, we've got the second major resistance level at 0.5217 and the 38.2% fib at 0.5285 to limit any upside on the day. Failure to move through the pivot would bring this first major support level at 0.4542 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ripple's XRP should avoid sub 0.4 levels. Second major support level at 0.4396 to limit the downside. Looking at the MACD, after yesterday's late bearish cross with a marked widening of the bearish histogram supporting the pullback on the EMAs, it's also pointing to further downside ahead, 50 pulling back away from the 100 and the 200. So failure to move through that pivot would bring support levels into play.